It just occurred to me that since the Ahsoka series takes place adjacent to the events of The Mandalorian Season 3, in the latest episode we may have just gotten an overlap that most fans missed. At the end of the episode, Ahsoka and Huyang take off in the mouth of a Purrgil to head for Peridea to find Sabine and Ezra. What if the space world they're travelling in is the same one that Grogu looks at when travelling through hyperspace with Mando in Season 3? Is he sensing Ahsoka's presence in the Force, which is why he is so engrossed and fascinated by them? That's a connection that's been implied but most likely will never be confirmed. I don't imagine Grogu or Mando showing up in this show. I know it's a meme at this point after they appeared in the Book of Boba Fett, that they will appear in random shows, maybe Ahsoka, but I don't see that happening with this one. So today, my dear friends, I want to talk about a couple of things from the most recent episode that extend from my breakdown. Before we get into it though, please be sure to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so, and why not give the bell a good old tickle to be alerted every time that I post a new video. But no more jibber jabber, enjoy. Ahsoka Part 5 gave Star Wars Rebels fans something we've wanted to see ever since the show was announced, a concept from Season 4's epilogue, which many assumed had been retconned until now. Let me explain. When Sabine Wren and Ahsoka Tano embark from Lothal to begin their search for Ezra Bridger, Sabine looks at the mural commemorating the liberation of the planet. She touches the face of the illustration of Ezra and turns around. There is Ahsoka with her shuttle, looking mighty, very reminiscent of Gandalf with white robes. Dave Filoni has often drawn inspiration from Lord of the Rings, especially where Gandalf is concerned. Ahsoka being clothed in grey and changing to white is a mirror of Gandalf the Grey, who transformed into Gandalf the White after dying and being resurrected. There is baptism and rebirth imagery, and the Purrgil add a theological dimension too, a direct parallel to Jonah and the whale. But the most important thing to remember with this transformation is what she learnt in the World Between Worlds visions with Anakin Skywalker. What a lot of people seem to misunderstand is the nature of the decision she had to make when Anakin offers her life or death. Choosing life, which she eventually does, is symbolic of letting go of the guilt of her past, as well as the fear and pain, and death would be clinging onto it forever. The live-action adaptation of the Clone Wars was really terrifying to see that she was, for all intents and purposes, a child soldier. That is something the Jedi Order put her through. She had so much baggage. Anakin's ultimate final lesson to complete her training in this episode was to show Ahsoka that she can't give up. That's why at the end, he says there is hope for you yet, when she chooses to live. I know I'm going on about it quite a lot, but for me, and I'm sure a lot of Star Wars fans, this was a beautiful moment. Even if its original first appearance was retconned, now that it's being introduced properly in the second half of Season 1 is such an amazing and appropriate thing as we now head to Peridea, which is why she seems like a completely new character, and in a huge way proving Baylan wrong. He told her that her legacy would be just like Anakin's, death and destruction. But it's not. It is a rebirth wherein she is a force of goodness and light. And I don't know if you caught this, but I think she's going to be a better master to Sabine, because naturally Ahsoka had her own insecurities about being a master. She can now let those go. In the same way Gandalf gave his life to fight off the Balrog, from a certain point of view, so did Ahsoka against Baylan. When fans were first introduced to white-robed Ahsoka holding the scepter, we were confused, wondering for years what this meant. What was the symbolism supposed to mean? Fans came up with a plethora of theories involving the World Between Worlds, saying what we saw was some kind of elevated and enlightened Ahsoka who already did some searching for their friend Ezra. We had no certain idea of what this signified. And so, when Ahsoka Episode 2 came along some 5 years after the finale of Rebels aired, we were surprised they decided to show us the same scene, shot for shot, adapted in live action but without the Gandalf look. There was no Ahsoka the White. Many outlets and fans theorized this was for convenience sake, they got rid of it, and it wasn't a big deal, it was a small retcon. But since the show debuted, I was adamant Ahsoka's white robes would be re-explored at some point, in a different context. And I was right. And so in the most recent episode, after Ahsoka is rescued from the ocean of Cetos, after her so-called enlightenment after living through some of the Clone Wars again, seeing Anakin again, she is dressed in white after her recovery. If Ahsoka the White is only coming into the show now, then they did really retcon that moment, but are exploring Ahsoka the White thereafter. That is the most logical explanation. Ahsoka is a changed character now. Dave Filoni wanted to keep the Ahsoka the white robes, but not in the same context. She doesn't wear them right from the get-go when they embark from Lothal, but afterwards, after this experience with Anakin. The official Star Wars website has somewhat confirmed that the scene from Rebels and the scene from Ahsoka are the same, that the live-action adaptation was shot for shot, well almost, apart from the robes. But some fans are adamant the scene from Star Wars Rebels is different and distinct from the one in Ahsoka Episode 2. That is to say, it may not have taken place yet. It sounds like a crazy theory, and to be honest, I don't buy into it. I'm not a big fan. This theory involves time travel, a redo of the mission to Peridea if it goes wrong, and while it's not impossible, it would convolute and complicate our understanding of the Star Wars universe. Dave Filoni is not a fan of time travel. I don't think he's gonna do this. Ahsoka in Rebels literally warns Ezra about changing the timeline and why he should not save Kanan. This is the same thing. I don't think Dave is going back on his word. I guess from a certain point of view, one thing this theory does have going for it is that Huyang warns Ahsoka that anything is possible. They don't know where they're going, they don't know what they're doing. There are risks to this mission, it could go wrong. You see, Morgan Elsbeth earlier in the season mentioned communication from Peridea being through time and space. We don't know the rules of that galaxy. For all we know, that means that time out there is not linear, and the way intergalactic communication and travel occurs alters the traveler's perception of time and how it is experienced. Something clever might be happening with the original Star Wars Rebels scene. And I must emphasize and reinstate, this is a long shot. I'm not sure how fans would feel about this, I can't imagine it being too popular, and the biggest indicator this won't happen is that Dave is on record explaining that time travel is not a good fit for Star Wars. It just breaks everything. But one question remains, what about the scepter, the mystical stick from the Rebel scene? In my opinion, this is one aspect of Ahsoka the White that is going to be included that we have yet to see. I believe Ahsoka retains this from Peridea, maybe from the Night Sisters, and it could be linked to the use of magic in that galaxy. That is something I really hope they do explore, because I don't think Dave added this in for nothing. Another fabulous addition to the transformation of Ahsoka is a very niche reference to some trading cards of arts that Dave Filoni drew following Twilight of the Apprentice back in 2016. These show a different version of events that were not shown in the episodes. It includes Morai, as well as one frame where water surrounds her. Either way, I'm so excited for what's to come in the next few episodes. I don't think we're ready for it. It's gonna be insane. Seeing Thrawn, Ezra Bridger, again Baylan, Shin, Morgan Elsbeth, all of these characters are ending up in the new galaxy. There are certainly going to be some twists. Just 3 episodes to go. I suppose a big question fans have now is, how is Ahsoka the White going to be different? Are her power levels different? Did what she experienced in the World Between Worlds with Anakin change anything other than obviously her perception of the past? Just before the Ahsoka show was released, Filoni talked about the metamorphosis of Ahsoka in this show, saying that there are similarities of course to Gandalf, but also from state to state. Various transitions throughout Ahsoka's journey in this show. We've already seen that to some extent with the Clone Wars flashbacks in episode 5, but I wonder if he meant something more, something deeper. Maybe Ahsoka the White is just the beginning of this journey. A lot of fans want to see some Mortis stuff explored, the essence of the daughter that resides in Ahsoka after she died in that Clone Wars arc and was revived. I don't know how deep the creatives have taken it for such a show that is meant to appeal to a wider audience as well. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.